just this morning, Biden's campaign chair says that the president is absolutely staying in the race. But despite all that, we have new reporting this hour that things could be changing. More Democrats are publicly calling for him to abandon the race. And behind closed doors, senior aides are telling CNN that there is a growing belief that he might quit soon. One senior lawmaker on the Democratic side is telling me that while pressure is building on Biden to drop out, the timetable could be fluid as the president recovers from COVID. That lawmaker said some advisors around the president appear to be digging in and insulating Biden from some of the polling information that shows he could lose the race. But of course, there are still lots of Democrats defending President Biden, insisting he should keep on running. Joining us now is one of those Democratic Congressman Veronica Escobar of Texas. She is a Biden campaign co-chair. And let me ask you this, Congresswoman, we have a number of sources painting a very grim picture. On the record, though, you're here with us. We appreciate that. What's the state of the president's reelection campaign?
Folks are hard at work. Canvassers are knocking on doors. Folks like me are traveling the country. I just got back from Milwaukee, a great visit to Milwaukee to offer counter programming and talk to some of those canvassers. I've been to Arizona, Pennsylvania. While some folks are commenting to reporters anonymously, the rest of us are on the record and working hard to make sure that we win this election in November.
And Congresswoman, I'm sure you saw this, Senator Jon Tester of Montana. That's a swing state, a state that, you know, where he's a bit in danger, but he's the second Senate Democrat to call on President Biden to drop out of the race. That's on top of 23 House Democrats. What are you hearing from your colleagues? Are you hearing that there are some, there are some of your colleagues, I assume, who are saying, yes, the president should drop out. What can you tell us?
I am actually hearing more from colleagues who are doing what I'm doing, which is doing the work to win in November, supporting our ticket, President Biden and Vice President Harris, doing everything we can to make sure that we defeat Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and that we never, ever allow Trump's Project 2025 to come to fruition. There is so much at stake in this election, Jim. And just today, the Hispanic Caucus, the political arm of the Hispanic Caucus, Bold PAC, announced its endorsement of the Biden-Harris ticket. We also saw recently over 1,000 Black women leaders from across the country write an open letter saying, President Biden is our man, Vice President Kamala Harris, we are with the ticket. There is a strong coalition of support that exists throughout this country. I've also heard from voters and constituents, not just constituents of mine here in El Paso, but I've heard from voters in different parts of the country who are angry that there are, their perception is that our nominee is being attacked from within by anonymous sources. And reporters are reporting on all of this anonymous gossip. I've spoken to the Biden co-chairs. I've spoken to the campaign, to folks at the White House. None of this is coming from inside of the Biden team or campaign. And yet reporters continue to quote anonymous sources. And frankly, I'm looking forward to the day that they hear the president when the president says over and over again, he's staying in the race, and they join us in making sure that we keep Donald Trump out of the White House and that we continue the great work that the Biden-Harris administration has done over the last 4 years.
And I do want to talk about the former president's speech last night at the Republican convention, but you are convinced that President Biden is staying in this race?
Yes, 100%.
All right, let me ask you about last night, because, you know, there was all this talk of unity from the former president and that he was going to change his tone and so on, the things that we've heard in the past about Donald Trump. But that's not what took place. And we heard him speak at great length about his complaints about immigration at the border. Let's watch.
We have to stop the invasion into our country that's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. They're coming from prisons. They're coming from jails. They're coming from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're taking their criminals and they're putting them into our country. They're sending their murderers. We become a dumping ground. The Republican platform promises to launch the largest deportation operation in the history of our country.
Congressman, as you know, I mean, Trump repeated a lot of his claims that he makes at these rallies that he does, and most of those claims obviously are false or misleading. What's your reaction to that?
Jim, I expected to wake up this morning to headlines in newspapers across the country about Trump's vile language, his anti-American language, and I expected people to be questioning his mental state and mental capacity, but crickets, basically. What you just played is who Donald Trump is. Despite the hype that, oh, Donald, the gun violence attack at his rally had changed him or humbled him or made him calmer or softer. Despite all of that hype, Donald Trump is Donald Trump, and he uses the most vile and dangerous language to basically rile up his base. But in addition to riling up his base, Jim, in a couple of weeks here in El Paso, we are going to be marking the 5th anniversary of the August 3rd shooting, a shooting by a white nationalist who drove 10 hours to El Paso and published a screed that mimicked Donald Trump's vile, incendiary language about an invasion. He walked into a Walmart in my community and slaughtered 23 people because he wanted to rid the country of the invasion and of the immigrants. Yeah. Donald Trump is a risk to communities like mine. And to double back on this, everything he said was a lie. We know that immigrants commit crimes in fewer numbers than native-born Americans. We know that immigrants help our economy. And frankly, Democrats have recognized that we need to fix our broken immigration system, but who has stood in the way of that? It's been Republicans who want the problem and not the solution so that they can rile up their base the way that Donald Trump did last night.
I mean, given everything you just laid out there, I mean, there are a lot of Democrats on your side who are very worried about the White House going back into Donald Trump's hands should Joe Biden lose this race in November. And I have to ask you about this. There is a group of Democrats who want to see the president step down from the race. They just launched a TV ad saying it's from a group called Pass the Torch. What about that notion that, for President Biden, this shouldn't be a marathon. It should be a relay race. I think we have a clip of the ad. I want to play it for you. Get your reaction on the other side.
President Biden, you saved democracy in 2020.
Now you have a chance to do it again.
It's time to pass the torch and let us choose a new nominee.
One who can bring new energy, new hope.
And make sure Donald Trump never gets near the White House again.
Our country's future is in your hands.
So please, be the leader we know you are. Pass the torch, Joe.
Pass the torch.
Pass the torch.
Pass the torch.
Pass the Torch is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Congressman, I mean, what about that sentiment in the Democratic Party? It is there.
Jim, our president has said innumerable times he is staying in the race. I invite the folks raising money for ads like that and folks spending time on producing ads like that to join us and making sure that Donald Trump doesn't get into the White House, making sure that we are reaching the voters that we need, that we know we can bring to the table and the ballot box in November to make sure that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris return to the White House so that we can continue the great work that we've done in lowering the cost of prescription drugs, making sure that we're growing the middle class from the bottom up and the middle out, and making sure that we never allow Trump's Project 2025 to become a reality, because it would strip women not just of all of their reproductive freedoms, but of their freedom to IVF and grow their family, their freedom to birth control, and so much more. There's a lot at stake. We all need to be focused on the same thing, and I welcome them back as soon as they're done spending their money and spending their time. We will welcome them back with open arms so that we can win in November.
All right, Congresswoman Veronica Escobar, thank you very much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.